If you'd like to see more of our videos, hit the subscribe button to stay on top of the market news. Good morning, traders. Welcome to today's market review. This is Fred Razak at CMtrading. Today is June 10th, 2020, and today is Wednesday morning. So looking at the highlights of the day, FOMC rate decision later today out of the United States, a very important rate decision. But first, let's take a look at the market. So before we get to the rate decision later today at 2:30 South African time out of the United States, we have core monthly CPI number coming out. And then at 8 p.m. South Africa time, that is the FOMC fund rates that coming out. Now, interest rates are pretty much at zero right now. The question is how much longer, okay? Because there's a few roles here that are going to come into effect, whether it's deflationary issues or inflationary issues that are going to be banging at each other's door. And this is something that the FOMC is going to have to be very careful at. Now, looking at the markets before this number comes out, obviously the majors take a break right before this big event. I do expect some volatility right afterwards, but right now we are trading a little bit lighter. Looking at the indices, it takes down some losses and loses some ground, about 200 to 300 points. Not big deal, but it is coming out before this number. Now, with the commodities, gold and oil both bounce. Gold still trading that beautiful range. And lastly, looking at the stocks, it's Apple Computers that is taking us, well, we call it Apple now, okay? But Apple is continuing to push higher to all-time new highs. Let's take a look at the markets and see what we can expect from today's trading. So looking here at the Euro USD, we're first looking at a weekly chart. You see we're right back at the resistance level of 1355. A nice little rally earlier. And this is in anticipation to this number coming out later today. So as long as it doesn't push above this 1354 or hit this 1400, I think we will make a correctional move. But you do want to know that this 1418 is enough of a resistance. And if we do break it, we could get back into this 116-ish area, okay, with butter, okay, which means very easily. Okay, so something to consider going into today's trading. If we look at a shorter time frame, you see that little perk up and that continuation, that's bona fide buying. Okay, so there's a lot of pressure to push this higher with this number coming out later today. Looking at the GBP USD sitting on that resistance-ish level, and it looks like it wants to take it out, okay? So I'm a little bit biased on the upside. I do agree with it. I wouldn't go into this number or to this trading event of the FOMC with a position, but you do want to know that it's hitting these particular thresholds, especially if you are in any positions. Now, jumping into gold, all right? So this has been trading so beautifully over, let's see how long it's been. We've got to look at a daily chart. I mean, it's been trading like this since April, between the 1741 and 1680-ish level, okay, 1670 on the lower end. And this is something that's really important because we're right now smack in the middle, okay? We're up to par with the moving averages. We're right in the between 1740 and 1673. So with that said, I think the market is absorbing some of this new FOMC rate decision later today, and we're not going to break either above it or below it until that happens. Now, looking at oil also, we did rally a little bit yesterday, bouncing off of this 36.90. This is where I said we would bounce off of, and we're also right here at par, okay, pretty much on the moving averages, right between the moving averages, and you want to use that as either a breakout on either side if we do break out of it. Now, looking at the Dow Jones, it's still been relatively resilient. We're only about 200 points off of our highs of 27,600-ish level, not even, okay, about 150 points off of it. So with that said, going into today's number, is the market overbought? Yes. But does that mean that the market is going to sell off just because it's overbought? Not necessarily, okay? Remember, this is a futures market. And with a futures market, we're thinking about 6 months to a half a year to a year, okay, outlook, okay? So things are going to be considered into what's going to be in about 6 months already today. So with that said, okay, as long as the pandemic is still contained, okay, and doesn't come and hit us back in a big way, I think we will considerably still go higher, okay, or trade in a new range, okay, at least for now, okay, until inflation and deflation is kind of put aside and the quantitative easing that the Federal Reserve has had to do because of the coronavirus and because of their deregulation, we're going to see ourselves trading in a new range. Okay, that's basically what that means. All right, now looking at the Nasdaq, we're at all-time new highs at 10,000. Okay, this is unprecedented, and this has all been driven by Apple trading at 343. Look at that. Just the other day, it took out that 332-ish level, breaking about that 325, and this is why you look to trade the breakouts. Okay, this is really a bona fide breakout. Okay, so ultimately, it could go to 400. Okay, for all I know. Okay, right now I say that it's strong. Does it mean that today or tomorrow is going to 400? Not necessarily, but you do want to continue keeping this on your radar because this is going to be the stock that is going to set the tone moving forward. Okay, it's Apple that is carrying the market higher into a completely new area. Now looking at Amazon, also breaking out to new highs. Microsoft on its all-time highs, okay, right there, 189, needs to push it a little bit further. If you look at Facebook, it perked up to its all-time highs yesterday. Google getting closer, but not there, okay, but you see the stocks are relatively still very, very strong, okay, so something to consider as we go into today. Lastly, looking at Jpmorgan, not as strong, okay, so it's really the high-tech stocks that are pushing us higher, and that would be my go-to in terms of if the market wants to push higher later today because of the FOMC decision, okay, so a lot happening today. Just be very careful, use stop losses, trade responsibly, okay, the volatility is going to be there. This is Fred Razak. I want to wish you guys a great trading day. Thank you.